I want to talk to the women who were always smart, the ones who did well in school, the ones who knew how to achieve. And then adulthood showed up, and suddenly none of the old rules that you live by worked anymore. On this channel, I teach the science of follow through, why capable women, smart women, high achieving women struggle to sustain change, and how to build a life that actually works for you after college, after structure, and after you shoot for the stars, and how you can stop starting over and figure out why you keep having to start over. If you are looking for that, you're in the right place. I want to talk to you about something that I feel like has been confusing me most of my adulthood and also other women for a long time. Why we keep starting over. It's not because we don't want change, but because something that used to work so all of a sudden stopped working. If you were the gifted kid that was in the accelerated program, this might hit a little close to home. I was in gifted classes from kindergarten all basically all the way through college. I had straight A's, occasionally a B, rarely a C here or there, mainly in math. I was just not good at math. I was always over involved, always busy. I was in competitive dance, chorus, musical theater, marching band. If there was a way to excel and exhaust myself, I found it. School made so much sense to me. The structure of it made sense. The rules, the deadlines, the clear expectations, all the external structure was easy for me to follow because it made sense to be able to do the work and then get the result. Because I knew that if I put in this amount of work, I was going to get a result, it was very easy for me to feel like I thrived in that. And I know that a lot of other people feel that way too. In college, I was somebody that made the dean's list at least once a year. And then I didn't stop. I was not one of those people who took forever to finish college. I went straight through. I got my bachelor's, and right after that, I got my master's. So achievement was never the problem. Achievement was never my problem. But then adulthood showed up and the system that I was used to broke. No syllabus, no rubrics, no clear next steps. I graduated and I couldn't get a job. I had to start freelancing just to survive because I kept running into people telling me I didn't have enough experience. I didn't have enough of something to be able to land even a low paying entry level job. I had all these good ideas, but just nothing was working for me. And from there, life started kind of just feeling like I was half starting. I had all this effort, but and ideas, but just no consistent action. It was just very inconsistent. I was very inconsistent. And then shame started to creep in, which made me struggle even more. And then, like, my thoughts and ideas around achievement that I used to have made me feel like maybe I'm the problem. I started to assume that I was the problem. And I know that I've heard this with a lot of other people as well. I felt like I lost my edge. Maybe I peaked. Maybe I wasn't as capable as I actually thought. And here's what no one really explains about that and what I had to learn so it could change everything in me. School trains you to succeed from external pressure and external structure. The structure is put in place for you. It's not something that you have to curate yourself. So then when you get out of school and you get into adulthood, adulthood requires you to have your own internal structure, your own internal follow through. And then you start putting things in there like trauma or like mental health diagnosis like ADHD or other personality disorders. Like a lot of things can go off track, and then you throw in life stressors. It can be really hard to sustain it if you don't already have the skill, because the thing is, the skill to be able to succeed in a highly structured environment like school is not the same skill that you need to succeed in adulthood when it requires you to have your own internal compass to follow. And wanting to change badly does not mean you actually know how to sustain the change. In fact, a lot of women, especially people who are high achievers, struggle more because we were rewarded for that intensity. We were rewarded for that pressure, that last minute excellence, performing under stress. Again, a lot of the times that works in school, it does not necessarily work for building a life. So when things don't stick, routines, your habits, your goals, we call it self sabotage, which sometimes it is sabotage. But most of the time, It's just that your brain, your body never learned how to follow through without that external guardrail. That's the skill that you're missing. Follow through is not about motivation. It's not about being disciplined. It's not about even grit and wanting it badly enough. It's about being regulated, trusting yourself, and being able to repeat it. Because here's the thing, if you can't be calm and calm enough to be able to trust yourself, you're going to have a hard time repeating the actions that you need to take on a daily, weekly, monthly basis to add up to a successful year. And if no one taught you that, then you're going to keep restarting. That doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean you're lazy. Most importantly, it doesn't mean you're a failure. You're not incompetent. If you're somebody that made it to adulthood and did anything worth noting, you're not a failure. Let's start there. If you don't leave this video with anything else, we're at least going to acknowledge that. This is just about learning a new skill. And if you already know this skill, then learning how to utilize it to best benefit you so that you can thrive in other areas of your life that don't involve achievement for the sake of looking great to other people or for the sake of an external reward. So, for one, you might be doing great in your career, unlike me. I think part of my problem was that I was a little lost about what I wanted to do career wise anyway. So that's why I struggled and I wasn't being truthful to myself. So maybe you're doing great in your career because your career is where you thrive because it's a lot like school. But maybe your health is like in the toilet. Maybe your relationships aren't great. Maybe your mental health is like awful because you don't know how to stay grounded. There might be other areas of your life that you're struggling with because you don't know how to follow through in those areas. And so just because you're really successful in one area doesn't mean you also know how to apply this skill to another area. And that's why you have to be able to teach yourself this, because to me, a well-lived life, a life that you can really, really follow through on, it needs to be well balanced. You can't just thrive all the time in your career and then never focus on your health. You're going to burn out physically and mentally. You can't just, you only focus on your body, you only focus on your health, but then mentally you're just torn apart. Like, something's got to give, because if one area is struggling so badly to the point that it is causing you pain or stress in the other areas of your life, then are you really doing that well? Can you really say that you're actually succeeding? So these are the things we're going to be talking about on this channel. And once you understand the skill of following through, it starts to help you realize it's not a character flaw. It's just a skills gap. And I just need to learn how to close the gap so that I can be well balanced and live a life where I can be hot and confident and healthy physically. I can be mentally sound and calm and chill. I can thrive in my career and get paid how I want to. And I can follow through on everything that I set my mind to, because I know how to keep promises to myself. I know how to show up for myself. I'm not putting other people's needs ahead of mine all the time. Because there's nothing wrong with, supporting people and loving them and caring for them, but they can't be always more important than you. Anyways, I'm getting into other videos here. But if this episode felt a little bit too accurate, that's intentional, because this channel is for women who are good at achievement. You are the best at being successful, but you were never taught how to follow through once all that structure disappears, once life gets too hectic and the ball has to drop, and how you can maintain it even during those time periods. So if you're done feeling like you have to restart from zero every single year, then please subscribe. If you feel like you're doing great in one area, but you really do need help figuring out how to follow through in other areas, then please subscribe. Next week, we're going to be talking about why motivation feels really reliable when you first start and then it disappears. And then after that, we're also going to be talking about why discipline stops working when you're under stress. I can't wait to get to know you. I'll see you next week.